I need my clicker. Where's the clicker? Where the f*** is the clicker? What? Well, I kind of need my one. No, I need my clicker. It might be downstairs. Yeah, I know. Wait, did I?
You had it when you were walking up.
There it is.
Was it in your pocket?
Yes. Shut up. Right. A quick word of warning before we go. This will not be a professional or serious presentation. It will tell the story of my DQ, of course, as you need to do, but it's going to be entertaining, it's going to be jokey. I'm going to try and make it a bit fun. Cool? Cool? Cool. So, hello, my name's Oliver Nickel, and I'm a software developer in a variety of tools, frameworks, and all flavors of confusion. However, I tend to describe what I do as the following. I make things. I've made games, I've made chatbots, I've made websites, I've made a software development studio, I've made databases, I've made videos, I've made apps, I've made software. I make a lot of things. And I've wanted for quite a while now to make a new thing, a social media. And now an excerpt from my life, which obviously is perpetually recorded, from a few months ago when the hair was longer. I skipped a line. And the audio. I've got to agree with past me there. Sure. That'll do. Build social media in the past decade and feel like a famous social users that couldn't use social media be successful if it went after the public interest. Or something. I don't really know. That's being a bit slow. So, a quick clarification before we get started. You may have noticed that that title's a bit long. The reason I did that is because I needed to clarify because social media is such a wide-ranging, overarching topic, so I had to keep it specific. So let's quickly break down my title and see what I mean by each given section. Does social media of the past decade? That's fairly obvious, it's talking about social media, and I specified it down to the past decades because I didn't want to have any confusion. So we're talking about Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok instead of Friendster, MySpace, and Bieber. So, sorry, I'm boring. Instill negative impacts on its users. That bit I want to make clear because that's the main portion of the topic. That's where I spent most of my time. I had to talk about the negative impacts of each platform if they existed, which they do. And I had to make clear what I was talking about. And could a new social media be successful if it were to act in the public's interests? That bit was important. I had to talk about that because that's where I wanted to talk about. That was where the social media stuff came in. So I already knew what I wanted to do. I'd already started doing some research and I had one particular idea because I was talking about social media. So my initial ideas were fairly easy. I was confident in my ability to research it because, well, I was already looking at the technical stuff. I had a fair amount of knowledge in the subject because I was already looking at the technical stuff. And I had kind of already started because I was already looking at the technical stuff. I mean, I'd already started drawing up pitch documents for the project, so I figured this was going to be fairly easy, right? I just get some books, maybe a notebook or two, a couple papers, a discourse, and maybe a couple emails to influencers. And that'll be it, right? How hard could it be? Quite hard, very hard indeed. So there's my research catalog. What you'll notice though is a lot of these sections aren't actually used, they're not applicable. That's because I sent off a lot of interview requests, and as a result, there are only 8 sources in there that were actually used. There were only 8 sources that I could find that were applicable. To explain why though, and to explain that properly, let's talk about interviews. I emailed a lot of people. Between the press departments and influencers, I sent 23 emails off to different people who had influence in this area. I wasn't expecting a lot of responses. I was hoping for maybe 2 or 3. I got 1 positive one. Technically that side's a little bit wrong. I did get two responses. One of them was from Tom Scott, who said no. And now, let me show you, he said it wasn't in his wheelhouse, which is fine. However, let me show you one of my primary sources, which was a discourse into the effects of social media by Tom Scott. Oh well. Either way, the person I actually ended up interviewing was a Mr. Christopher Bingham, aka Bing. Christopher is a former university lecturer at Ravensbourne University, an arts and design university just in North Greenwich, just next to the O2. He lectured on the Emerging Technologies course for over 4 years. That meant that he had a significant amount of knowledge in this field, and he had been using social media personally and professionally for over 10 years. He was also one of the first bloggers on modern social media with his series Past Bing, Future Bing, where he entailed parts of his life both in the past and in the present. However, that also means that these 2 videos of him are on the internet.
I, Christopher Andrew Bingham the First, am going to design new business cards.
That's the person I'm
Let's
interviewing.
put on some hype music, shall we?
I didn't edit that. He's also responsible for this video.
You're a pretty little one, a skinny little slender little kitty.
Not like
So at this point I
you,
was slightly regretting my
You
choices.
tubby mess. You're fat little kitty. You're a slob. Come back, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean any of the things I said. I'm sorry.
So that's where my expert opinions are coming from. With all that said though, I trusted Christopher. He's an expert in his field and he's highly proficient. Admittedly, our conversations did happen over email though, but that was kind of cause of effect because we had to do this over several months and get everything sorted. And either way, I really appreciate his help, and I'm definitely not saying this because he's going to check over the video to make sure he's happy with what went in. So then some reading here, some watching and note-taking there, and we should have been all good. But there's another issue here. Can you hear it? So we're getting into a rather personal topic here, so I'll just be brief and sum this up quickly. It was important to my EPQ as I mentioned this. I have experienced mental health issues for several years now, it's nothing new. But over the period of November last year to January this year, I was experiencing a fairly severe effect. As a result, this affected my ability to concentrate and ultimately ended up in those tail-offs and delays that you saw in my research catalog. And if we go... Well, that's just rude. If we go back to that, you can see that a lot of these sections are on the same days because that's simply when I could build up the energy to keep working on the thing. And I know that's not an excuse. I absolutely know that that is no good excuse. And even then, like, my project management wasn't the best, no. And it was a lot of quick bursts of getting stuff done. But I still got a lot done. I got an interview with a former university lecturer. I got all the information I needed and a fair amount besides. So yeah, I don't view this as an excuse, and I don't think it needs to be because I think my project shines in and of itself. So fast forward a few months and we end up with a complete DPQ. I'm aware I've missed a few steps in that process, but they mainly look like this. And this. So let's just skip to the bit where the EPQ is done, and here it is. It's some words. It's some words on paper. There's some words. See? Okay, fine. We'll talk about the report plan. So you'll see my report plan here. You'll notice there's actually 4 sections in here. That changed. I had 2 versions of my report plan. One which is the 4 section which you see here, and one which moved on to a 3 section. So let's just quickly. Done. Right. So what you'll actually see here is the 3 sections that I worked on. Section 1, has social media had an impact? Section 2, what were those impacts and how can we resolve them? And Section 3, could a social media be healthy if it were to act in those interests? In other words, could a social media work good? Should it do good thing? Yes. So, a few painful pages later, and we had some answers. So let's have a look at those. Section 1, has social media, particularly of the past decade, had an impact on its users, and what causes such impacts? Any guesses? Had it has an impact?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely, of course it did. All of my sources... Oh, fuck! Right. All of my sources agree that there was a profound impact primarily caused by anonymity, privacy, and moderation issues. If we have time to slide, pun, those in later, we'll have a look at those in more detail. I'm not sure if we will, though. Section 2. What are the impacts of this social media, and what do people believe could resolve them? This section dragged on for absolute ages because I'd already been dealing with a lot of these issues. I've been talking about moderation for a ridiculous amount of time because I've been designing a social media. Moderation is something that's crucial to get right in the balance. I spent a while on privacy because it's an issue that's debated in the online space all of the time, and it's an issue that's personally rather close to my heart. And I probably didn't spend enough time on anonymity because I don't particularly care about it that much, but either way, we'll just move on. those issues all form a balance, and you have to strike that balance correctly to get a good platform. You have to find a balance between not enough moderation and too much moderation. If you have one or the other, you will end up as what Tom Scott described as either a Nazi bar or an echo chamber. Nazi bar being where it's free speech and everyone can say what they want, which is always great until the Nazis move in. And then an echo chamber is where whatever you say, it has to align with these pre-existing values, and it just gets more and more intense, and eventually accidental radicalization happens. Anyway, section 3. Could a social media be healthy and financially sustainable? I'll admit, I might have planned to bias the data just a little bit in this section because I was designing a social media to go along with these ideals. I decided not to, and it really shows. So ultimately, again, given a development time of 6 months, the site will require a minimum of just under £10,000 in the first year from contributors to support the operations of the site. So is this sustainable? I'm going to quote directly from my EPQ here, and excuse me because I haven't been reading my thing. To quote Bingham, Twitter and Facebook both work really well if you only follow fewer than 100 people. You can see everything you wanted to see and then log out. But most users who have been on the platform for more than a year follow several hundred people. They could never read every single tweet from all the people they follow, or if they did, it would be boring and they would log out. Twitter/Facebook don't want that to happen, so they adapt. Saturation of a platform, or rather the lack thereof, is crucial to its ability to be healthy and beneficial for its users. So while I can't guarantee the ability to create a platform that will be perfect, I can certainly create small-scale tests on algorithms that endorse healthy practices. Honesty, personality, and a healthy balance of opinion. That is what I believe, and what I seem to have been backed up on, will be a healthy platform. That bit works properly. Fine. But what does this mean for WriteLive? Well, in the past few months, some things have happened. I have gained 2 software development clients developing both apps and websites for a fair chunk of change, so I'd rather like to keep doing that. And I'm becoming vaguely more sociable as my head's finally clearing up, so I want to go out with people more. So time is tight. But you know what? I made a lot of things, and I know I'm just gloating here, but I managed to get an app on the Google Play Store. I've managed to make 3 to 5 websites, depending on how you count them, in a few months. I know that I have the ability to do this, it's just I don't know whether I'll have the drive to. And again, I've made way too many videos over the space of the past nearly year now, and I do that every week. I know I have the time to do this, so I just need to put the effort in. So despite being the kind of person that has invoicing software and an accounts book now, I'm going to keep working on WriteLive. I'm going to keep designing this. I'm going to keep working on this because I do genuinely believe that what social media needs right now is escapism. Social media lost that over the past few years. Twitter, Facebook, all of them have become news sites. They have news platforms. They have politicians, everything, all in one place. So what social media really needs is a break from reality. Thank you. Und wer gibt's now? Any questions as well?
Excellent. That's probably the most original presentation I've ever seen in a project. I'm really, really impressed. Well done. I'm just going to ask you a couple of little questions if that's all right.
Yep.
Just